Good afternoon. Welcome back. Quick network and chill check-in. Coming off a fresh trip to Nashville, Tennessee last week, and really excited to do a recap of 3686. What's going on, Ricky?
Hey, what up, bro?
Feeling good, bro. Hey, it was a great week last week. I'm glad it was probably a fast-paced 36 hours that we had, but a ton of things to dive into and a ton of things to recap that we kind of experienced at that point in time. So I wanted to just hop in really and let you start the table off and I think we both had different aspects of it. You attended some more. I emceed some events there. We did some collaborative things together as well. We both met a ton of people. But I would love to hear from your perspective early on in the day, the intro to the conference, and then your time there as well, and kind of go into some of the special speakers we had there at the venue and just the overall concept of the conference.
Oh man, I mean, first off, 3686 was a phenomenal, overall event. Bringing people from all over the state, met people from Memphis, from Chat, all, congregating in Nashville, for this event, from, entrepreneurs to, investors to, people just helping and working in the startup community and looking to build community. So, man, it was just, first off, awesome from that standpoint. I think kicking off the day, quick, we drove down in the morning, few hour, drive, and popped up and jumped right into the day. I think the first event I went to was actually with Blavity, Morgan, I think Mac.
Morgan and Marlon Nichols from Mac Venture Capital. Yeah, that's what do Mac. Yep.
Yeah, man. Awesome interview. I thought I didn't know some of the, the details about, Blavity and them acquiring the brands and whatnot, like Travel Noir, and that's kind of how they kind of grown their brand. So that's kind of was cool to, hear her story, from the beginning, to Afrotech to, the acquisitions of these brands. So that was, awesome to hear, her story, and even, some of the struggles with acquiring brands and, bringing those into bringing the team actually, into those brands and those brands into the team. So that was kind of cool to hear about those transitions.
Yeah, I was there for a second. I heard the acquisition piece of that. I didn't hear the struggle piece. So what kind of struggles does she kind of go into during that time, as they acquired all those new brands?
Yeah, she talked about some of the first brand that she kind of acquired, how it didn't go so well. They tried to basically change up some things, very quickly as they brought the brand into, their under their wing, I guess, and it just didn't go so well. But she talked about, with Travel Noir, how that one, went really well and is going really well, and how they put some plans in place to where they said, look, we don't want you to, change our branding. We don't want you to put, naked people or naked women or anything in our ads or on that channel for, 2 years. We don't want you to put any alcohol or alcohol branding or alcohol sponsorships, in that branding. So I thought that was kind of interesting to see that, you bought this, brand, and you are still kind of giving, the founder, kind of creative control, even if that's within those 2 years. So I thought that was really cool. She talked about how she's grown her team, and she's given them, the free reign to kind of work around and kind of create their own, positions, I would say, within some of these things. That was really cool to kind of hear that. I think she said her number 1, 2, and 4 are still with the company. So she's been able to, maintain and grow, that talent and grow as a team. So I thought that was, great to just hear, like I said, the story of her thinking about how now she's going to grow this to something that, she'll eventually sell.
Yeah, I met our co-founder, Aaron Samuels, back in December in Miami at a pre-mining conference, and it was cool. I kind of bumped into him a couple of times between Afrotech and last year. I was kind of curious. I don't know if they even talked about it during that fireside chat. Is she started that company in LA, right? And so over the pandemic, she moved from LA to Nashville, which is like interesting. They see that down now because people moving from the coast or, both coasts, New York and Cali to Nashville. So did she talk about, that at all and her transition and being a founder in Nashville now?
I think she briefly kind of talked about the transition, really, but more so just like how excited she was to be in Nashville, kind of, building this and, transitioning from Cali to Nashville. Like, it's a completely different space.
Yeah.
She just really, talked about how she was looking to help, grow the community and, build, in Nashville.
That's cool, man. All right. So that's your first event. Tell me where did you go from there?
So next, I went over and watched the bro kick off the first panel over on the Foundry side. So the first panel there was featuring, I can't remember bro's name.
Who did we have? We had I think we were talking about growth, right? We were talking about growth through like scaling up through growth. Was that the first event? I think that was the first one, right? I'm trying to recap my memory as well. Let me not speak ill of that. Let me just check into that real quick. Who we had the first panel? Oh, I know. I think we had. Let's see here. Yeah. So you went to the growth through strategic acquisition and collaboration, and then at the Foundry, we kind of tapped into good problems to have and the challenges of growth, right? And so we had a panel. We had some founders from Minneapolis. Jerome Wade was the moderator for the event. Your guys, George Yu from Chattanooga, was on that panel, who was also like worked at NASA, super into sensors, etc., building his company for 10 years strong. We had Lauren Glass from .RPL University, Shani Dowell from Possup, and Laura Oro from Daily Crunch Snacks. So I think that was a dope panel. And Alex Steinman from the Coven, who is like building out this unique co-working community type of company in Minneapolis and really attacking smaller communities. But they were talking about like some of the HR struggles, sales, and everything in between as you start off until you grow.
Yeah, man. Like I said, awesome panel. Some nuggets that I took from the panel. I know Laurel with Daily Crunch Snacks, like she's like blazing it. Like I think she's grown her company to over $1 million in sales. Like within like the first like 2 years. I don't think she's been open very long. And she's raised, maybe she's raised $1 million or is looking to raise like 2 million. But is in all types of stores. Like talked about how she's grown that really quickly. She came from a large company though. Previously. So I feel like she had that experience and has taken that experience and like has turned that into an awesome CPG product, and she's like growing super fast. Possup, another ed tech solution. I think that was really cool. How she talked about how she's started out, growing her business, like turking it. Like she would take feedback from parents herself, take the statistics and send that to the schools each week as they gave her like feedback through her platform. And she was able to, get funding for that after, running that herself, like after school, after work. Like it was kind of cool just to hear her story, how she, built that and, before she even had a product, she's like, I know there's a problem. Let me see. Let me figure out how I can, see if, this is valuable for schools and for principals and whatnot. So that was really cool.
It was dope. I had the opportunity to have dinner with her that night and kind of hear some of the insights of that story as well. So it's super cool, and I love what she's doing as well. But also, like, I think hearing your perspective, though, because like I was in backstage because I emceed the event, all these events in the green room, so I could hear the conversation, but I always couldn't see who was talking during that time. And now, like you, like tying the in between for me, like, okay, this is like super dope. And everybody was super cool backstage as well to kind of hang out prior to them going onto the panel.
Yeah, man, definitely. And hear George Yu's story, Variable Inc. founder. how he started out with a Kickstarter. Like, he's like, man, our Kickstarter like killed it. And then we were like, all right, we can actually raise funding. So they raised funding after their Kickstarter, and how they had to pivot and whatnot after that, their struggle with, doing too much in one product. He kind of discussed that and talked about that from a tech standpoint, and him, working at NASA, being an electrical engineer. Like, I was definitely feeling his struggle as he was talking about his story. So that was kind of cool.
Yep. I love it. And I think after that, we kind of hopped into lunch, which was like a cool space because like lunch, networking all happened in the same environment. Of course, we're in Nashville, so we had to get some hot chicken, bro. So like, Hattie B's.
Hattie B's.
Yeah. So that was dope. And then, I think it was just a ton of networking. I realized that during that time, like you mentioned, Knoxville, Chattanooga, Memphis, we just got to like tap into a lot of folks throughout those ecosystems. But also we had a ton of people like either that flew in as panelists from the West Coast or New York, etc. And I think it was just enough content, like not too much content, and we're with nice amount of breaks in between to have some of those good conversations that to be able to connect with people throughout the day as well.
Yeah, man, definitely, man. Like I said, I can't speak more to like just the vibe and the hospitality. Like, everyone was, willing to talk. Like, I talked to so many people. It's crazy. And you just, being in that environment was just, energizing, especially coming out of COVID and not, being able to go to conferences like that and being in that environment. I say the last time I was kind of at a conference kind of like that was probably Afrotech before the pandemic. So it was kind of like my first time being back in that environment, man. And it's energizing.
Definitely. Is there any other panels that stuck out to you that you want to like dive into a little bit more? That, like, it's like, oh, I love that panel. Anything else that you saw at the Marathon Music Works that I didn't see access to during that time? Anything that stood out to you in particular?
Let me see. Man, the angel investor panel that you emceed, I think that one was a great panel. You hosted by Eric from Alto.
Yeah, I was excited for that because I got to hang out with Eric Bond from Hustle Fund backstage, and I love what the Hustle Fund is doing. And so Eric, super dope dude. Even getting to meet Josh, who he came from LA and now is living in Nashville. And then like Charlie Brock, formerly running Launch Tennessee. That right there, like being like a value add operator and an angel, was something that was a really standout event.
Yeah, man, and I thought it was great to hear from Charlie, how he talked about. He's a LP in Kim's the Jump Fund, so that's kind of cool to see him playing both roles kind of there, like you said, an owner, an operating VC and an LP in a fund, and then like you said, Eric dropped all type of gems. Eric of the Hustle Fund, man, I think they have a cool concept, putting 50K, into as many businesses as possible, is what it feels like. And, but supporting those founders with hustle. And I liked his whole idea, man. We're investing in founders and we're, finding that hustle, in those founders. And I loved his whole philosophy behind how they find those founders and, that's it. Like, I see you got the hustle that we were looking for.
Yeah, he gave me some gems on even my fundraising journey for the fund backstage. Like, hey, I like really implementing that hustle and using some unique, events or dinners, etc., to actually get the right people at the table, tell your story, etc. And they've been doing it for a while, and they definitely exemplify, that hustle. And I love how, like you said, how they curate and work with founders as well.
Yeah, and then finally, even hearing from Josh Payne from Amplify LA, again, man, like that Cali Nashville connection. Like I don't, I didn't see it, before, but coming down there, I'm like, man, it's real. Like there's so many, people from our VCs, but people in general from businesses just coming from Cali to Nashville. I mean, it's growing, and I mean, how many skyscrapers did we see, bro? What did they say?
Yeah. Bro, it's cranes everywhere. It's crazy. I had no idea. I remember it's been a couple years since I've been to Nashville, and I knew it was growing, but like to the extent I see it now, it's like it's insane.
Yeah, skyscrapers going up left and right. I mean, I feel like I went to Nashville in the mid 2000s, and after 6 o'clock, Nashville was dead. Now I'm, in Nashville after 6, and I'm like, dang, the party's just getting started.
You're right. It's insane. Like, and it was a Wednesday night too, right? It wasn't even during the weekend.
The Wednesday night, man, it's crazy.
So after like a great day of like just a ton of ton of speakers, ton of panels, we had an opportunity like hang out at a launch party, like a quick little happy hour, which is super cool. Like you said, continue that networking. We met a great brother down from LA who was in town, man, a good dude. We get to hang out with him for a while as well. And from there, we really, I had the opportunity. I hosted a dinner. We had dinner, and then we had our network and chill and build an SC activation as well. Before we get into that, I really just want to give a quick shout out to Lindsay Cox and Monique Villa and Ashlyn and the entire Launch Tennessee team and 3686 team for not only like hosting us and giving us a great time down there, but also just a well done job. And I told them that personally before I left, but I'm excited to kind of get down there and collaborate with them and work with them some more.
Yeah, man, definitely appreciate it.
Cool. So let's hop into like I'll give you just a quick glimpse of the founder dinner that I kind of like help host with host with 3686 building SC and 3686, where we hosted, I would say, about 15 Series A and above founders at a quick private dinner. And I think essentially, like, some of the stuff we've even been talking about here, Ricky, like this, like putting the right people in the room and building community. And so most of the founders in the room were folks who had not met one another or had recently moved into the city. So we ended up getting a good collective of people there for that dinner. First of all, it was at Husk in Nashville, which first of all was like delicious, fabulous food. We had a private room.
Right.
The wine was flowing, but also it's like really some curated conversations, just around, I want to say it was like mental health focused, but really it was like, okay, not only learning about people and their journey, but also like, how do they break away from the day-to-day work job? How do they enjoy themselves? What drives them, et cetera. And it was a nice collective of founders in the room. So I was like blessed to be in the room and really curating some of those conversations and really driving a great time. Met some great folks. I got a lot of follow-up calls this week with founders and some opportunities to help them integrate here in Kentucky and in the Louisville ecosystem as well. And from there, I kind of just went through every table there. So we had these individual tables, about 5 people at each table. And I was like, hey, dinner's over, but we're hosting like a cocktails and conversation at Network and Chill. And I just kind of went through and gave everyone the invite to LA Jackson, where it was multiple dinners going on at the same time at different locations. And the meetup spot afterwards was LA Jackson. And we had a convergence of a ton of investors and founders meet at the rooftop at Lake Jackson.
Man, it was a lit, event. I mean, and the views from, the rooftop were crazy.
Yeah, it was. It was a crazy views, a great environment. Like you said, it's a Wednesday night. But also it was just like, it was a great opportunity where I felt like super blessed, like us not even being from Tennessee or Nashville, right? Just coming in town the same day and being able to curate and bring that community together and just make some genuine, authentic relationships. Like it felt like we had been there for a while.
Yeah, great vibes. We probably had great group of 20, 30 people,
Yep.
come through, and just was able to, really kick it over drinks, on the rooftop. Like, I mean, like you said, bro, it's just crazy to be able to, a blessing to, do that in another city, and curate just an event around, those founders that, and investors that are looking to connect, and just, because it's all about the relationships at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I think you quote someone, they said, man, people do business with people that they like. And these are those moments where you get to know who you like and who you don't like.
Yep.
And and it was just, like I said, awesome to connect with so many people. I mean, I met investors from, California during that night. I met startup founders from, California. It was just like I said, the vibes and just the mix of people that we were able to connect with, there was just great.
Yeah, it was great, and it also does like let you know like the opportunity where people love to work and everything else, but like the opportunity to break away and do it in a fun environment. And I think that's everything that we embody. Like, and you making sure those conversations become a lot more easy, a lot more authentic. It's not forced. You enjoy what you're doing. And the fact that we saw that people met up at 9 o'clock on a Wednesday night and continue to hang out to like 11:30. This speaks volumes to that. It was no pressure. It was no, it's really, it was really easy for people to come connect and build, and also allowed us to do the same thing, which like, like arguably we had no business curated event in Nashville, not been there in years. Right. And, being able to do that and, meeting the right people to trust to say, we're going to show up and hang out and connect with other founders and other investors and just other people in the ecosystem at a conference spoke volumes. Right. And so,
Right.
And prior to us even coming, shout out to my boy, James Chapman, who runs Playing Site. We had connected last week via a quick Zoom call, and he's building some great opportunities. He, had been living in Detroit, recently moved down to Atlanta. And with his application that he's building out, he's been curating a lot of Black and brown founder events. And so he was telling me about this, like curating these events. And so I hit him up. I was like, are you doing anything in Nashville for next week for Black and brown founders? And though we didn't come to Wednesday, he held an event on Tuesday night, right? Activation for Black founders on Tuesday night at PH Nashville, which is like this Black-run, Black-owned cocktail bar, which is not even open on Tuesdays. And, between Lindsay and the 36 and the LaunchTN team, they got this cocktail bar open up on a Tuesday night. And they said that they just brought in a ton of Black founders on a Tuesday night. And he just flew in that same day, right? And so it just speaks to the volumes of the collaboration, the pieces like that, to be able to host those type of things. I told him I missed it, but he came out to our event on Wednesday, and I just said, like, it's like amazing what we could do in less than a week.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's all about, like you said, the network. Like, when you build that network and those relationships, you can make those moves and make that stuff happen because you have that trust there. That's what it's all about.
Yep. Well, bro, I don't have anything else. I mean, it was cool just to quickly catch up and run through some things. I'm excited as we close out. We're about a little over a week away. October 13th.
October 13th. Mark your calendars.
Mark your calendars. 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. We have joined forces with the Community Foundation and the Vote Awards for a night you won't want to miss. We are bringing in Andy Dunn to town. Also, they'll have a fireside chat over the intersection of mental health and entrepreneurship. It's going to be a special night. We're going to have a lot of books to give away as well. And we're excited to bring together this community in a way that you've never seen before.
Yeah, man. I mean, as a 2020 Vote Award recipient, just excited to be collaborating, with the Vote and to, see 6 startups pitch, just like I did 2 years ago. And then, to follow up with, the discussion with Andy Dunn over mental health, for as a founder, because I mean, burnout is real. And, I mean, I feel like you just need to hear that. And, mental health is, a big issue. I would say for startup founders, I mean, anyone kind of in this whole ecosystem, I mean, you're taking a risk and, working through, those mental blocks or mental, issues that come up or arise, during that journey. And knowing that other people are having those issues, and it makes you, more willing to, discuss and talk about those things. So it's going to be a great discussion, with Andy, to talk about how he, overcame his struggles with mental health, and definitely be some nuggets there for, us as, entrepreneurs and founders and investors on how we can, tackle some of those issues before we, meet them.
Absolutely. So mark your calendars for October 13th. Go ahead. We'll drop the link in this video in order for you to register. This event will sell out, so make sure you register sooner than later. You won't want to miss it. Until then, I'll let you take it out, Ricky.
All right, man. We'll see y'all October 13th. Peace.
Peace.